civil target is 94, Bravo, 65, 20 low. Everyone.
Hello there, everybody. Hello there, Angela. How are you doing?
Doing great. How are you?
Doing good. Welcome, Kathy A. Welcome, Down Down. Welcome, everybody that's tuning in. Christina and everybody. Kirstina. Anyways, welcome, Jackie. A little twisty. So, yeah, it's nice to see everybody. Chris, nice to see you here tonight. Yeah, Richmond, I see you. Yeah. Okay. So, what have you been up to, Angela?
Well, I had participated in a psychic fair this Sunday, the Holistic Health and Psychic Fair in St. Clairsville, Ohio. It was a very small banquet room we were in, but of course, this Days Inn Hotel in St. Clairsville, the hotel is at a very high point, so it has a wonderful view. So when you just step out, you just see rolling hills all around you. You don't see a whole lot of industry or buildings around you at all. It's very pretty. It was great. It was some very strong readings I was getting, and the people were very impressed by the confirmation that they were getting, and I was too. As the spirits come through, that they always impress me with what they're telling me. I'm just relaying what they're telling me, and I pay when they show me, and it's just amazing the amount of confirmation and validation that it just amazes me how well that things I can't possibly know, and I relay that, and I said, wow, you got everything right, and you hit everything in the head, you don't even know me. And I'm like, I'm just listening to your spirit guides that are with you all the time. Right? And very, very short name. For example, I met a gentleman. I kept seeing you have two spirit animals with you. I see a pink horse, and I see a blue and white horse. They're spirit animals, but they're facing each other. And when the way the room he was is two horses facing each other, that has to journey with travel. It gave me the impression that he just wants to keep moving. He has to keep moving. That he drives a lot. And he says, yes, he's a professional driver. This is what he's done all his life. It's just, and when he does energy work, and he actually draws in the pink ray while he's driving and affects people's energy in a healing and very positive way. He used to treat transcendental meditation, and he also called in protection for himself. And I said, like, that's the blue and white horse, that's your protector, the head mirror. And everything that I relayed to him, was accurate. That he drove, that he was spiritual, that he does have the ability to project energy and to read people's energy, and he does. And I told him, and without even telling me, I said, you get information on people before you even pick them up, before you even know. And he says, yes, he gets information. He gets downloads on people before they get into his car. And he just puts out the energy that they need. And he asks permission of their higher selves to do energy work with them when they get into the car. So he talks to their higher selves of the people that he's going to pick up. And so that he can get confirmation, and so he can ask permission and ask what they need for their help right now. And then he just puts that energy out when they get in his car, and then people feel better and they feel more relaxed, because their driving experience is just more than just driving experience. It's a transformation experience. And
that's pretty cool.
That's really cool. And to meet somebody that does that, that's great.
Interesting.
Yeah, I did have a talk, so I did talk with spirit communication, the paranormal, and I talked about my paranormal experiences a little bit and the kind of communications that I got and what I went through. And there were people that kept me talking for quite some time because they were asking me questions. And I had somebody come up to me later and she says, I remember I talked to you before and you talked about EVPs. And she caught an EVP and she played it for me. And I got
Right.
to hear it. I was desperate. It was actually definitely a man's whisper coming through, speaking. And they had the presence of a man in the house or in their apartment where they live now. I just likes to hang out there. He just likes the property. He just likes the area, so he's just hanging there out there. But there's a lot of experiences that people were encouraged to share, and they shared with me, and very relatable. The paranormal. It's like the paranormal and supernatural intertwined, and
Right.
experience, and it's a learning experience. So there are patterns of things, and there are things that are just unexpected. It's just the nature of the paranormal.
Yes, it is. Chris is saying your story was amazing. Thank you for sharing your personal story. And Richmond's like, hey, I got to ask you, Angela, right out of the gate, can I be the first one to get a reading?
Sure, absolutely.
She says, I can use it. Yeah, I know. When I clicked on it, I about passed out. I was like, oh. I was like, somebody get the washcloth. Make sure it's cold and it stains. Somebody help me. Anyway,
Like a
enough of
southern
that, right?
belle, just fake, just can't help it, right?
I know, right?
Okay, Christina Richmond. Okay, the very first rune I got for you is Thorisos. So Thorisos. So this is the rune of anything sharp, but it's also caution. I'm feeling caution. I'm heard caution. Be cautious with your health. Be cautious with your health. So take care of yourself. Be really careful. I'm getting the impression if you get an inkling that something is wrong, it probably is, or you might want to get it checked out. And that's what the rune is saying. I'm not giving any advice, but this is something that you want to take seriously if you have any inkling of any health issues. So please take care of yourself. The next rune I got is Nadis. So Nadis is the rune of necessity, need, and it's also stress. Um, I feel like you're like you've got a lot in your head. It's like a lot of pressure, and this rune is saying that you've got a lot of pressure on you, a lot of pressure on you, um, and to and it's hard to work through it. It doesn't feel like you have a lot of help to work through it. The next rune I got is Urus, which is strength, resilience. It literally represents iron. Like you have the resilience to go through this, but there's a need for it too. So it's starting to potentially endanger your health. And so the runes, I would say you can use the runes for your health and make sure to, for my sake, what I do is I could use different breathing methods for meditation and also to help relieve stress. So there's different types of breathing that you can use to help relieve stress, and particularly deep breathing is helpful. But you can use the runes. You can use this rune Urus, right? This is the rune of strength, but it's also a rune of healing. And you can ask. You can actually look up that rune and you can say the rune Urus, 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 and visualize it. And you can look it up, and there's actually what they call a Galder song that you actually chant, and you visualize the rune with you, that rune, and read on your person or on your throat chakra, and having that energy throw through you, the rune, you're calling the energy through. There's also called runic yoga as well, where you actually do poses to mimic the rune, and it has to be in the right direction to call out the energy of the rune. But Urus is the rune of healing, so you can ask for the runes for their help because the runes just represent different types of energy, and what you're really asking is healing energy to come in and help you and strengthen you and give you good health, and so that you can go through this and recover, because I don't feel like this is going to last. I feel like in a few months, probably within the next 6 months, it's going to finally slow down. You're going to feel the pressure relief, and you're finally going to get some footing and some pause, some time for yourself.
All right. I want to answer this first. The daily dose. When you're out in the world, do you ever get spirit just coming through and just ask you to give a message to a total stranger you pass in a store? Not only that, the daily dose, but I can be in a TikTok live, be like, "Psst, hey, I don't know who you are, but man, your grandmother is just aggravating the fire out of me to tell you something." It does happen, and it's
It does.
annoying. Ain't that right, Angela?
Absolutely. I was at a party, at a Christmas party, and it was loud, and it was an office Christmas party at a hotel, and this man's mother kept coming to me, and she was she was from the 1960s, like she had the 1960s styles glasses with the pointy, the pointy ends on
Mm-hmm.
them, kind of pointy, and the big hair, from the 60s. And I went up to the person and I pulled him out of the party and relayed the message, and he says, "You're not the first person to tell me that. She tells me that with every psychic." It's like it's something that his mother does. It's like continuously. Like if there's a psychic in the room, his mother would go to that psychic and relay the message, and it's usually the same message. And it's just between him and her. And his mother's been passed for 30 some years, and she still comes through with messages for him. Um, and so he has total strangers come up to him with messages from her, and all of those people he know are actual psychics, because his mother will only approach actual psychics and pass on the same message every time. But it's also his aunt came through as well, so his mother's sister came through as well, and it was a loud party, a lot of drinking, and it just was so strong I had to pass it on. He greatly appreciated that, and he loves his mother, dearly, and she just adores him still, and it's just amazing. He's got an amazing spirit in his mother and his aunt, who are still hanging around him and just adore him and take care of him.
Right. The daily dose. I was at an antique store in Madison County, Indiana, on the river. It's a place where my family and I go to antique shop. And my mom was standing right there. Wasn't paying a lick of attention. And I didn't know the guy owned the store. It was an older guy. And I was like, "Who's the little girl in the bell dress standing next to you behind the counter that just disappeared?" He turned white as a ghost. He's like, "That is the granddaughter's daughter that got not murdered, but she passed behind the store. I guess she drowned." And so when they bought the store from the original owners on Main Street, they found the granddaughter's doll, and it's a little girl in a bell dress, and evidently it's supposed to look like her. Well, they found it, and they contacted the family member. They're like, "No, it stays with the property because she's always stays there." Yeah, my mom was like, "Well, how come you didn't tell me she was staying there? I wanted to see." But yes,
It's
but anyway,
something too, because my mom has some ability too, and we went to an antique store and there was this doll, and we both felt this energy off of it that just wasn't good, and we knew it was this older, heavy set woman who was really her personality was really obnoxious and kind of controlling, but she was attached to this doll. And we both picked it up immediately, and we were looking at that dog. I hope nobody buys that doll. I hope nobody buys it. It was an older doll, but it was supposed to be look like a young, like a little baby, but from our eyes we could actually see the woman attached to it over top of it, so it ended up to us looking like an older, over heavy set woman, and we could actually see her overlap the image of the doll. It was something to see. And I hope,
uh,
yeah.
now go ahead. You
Oh, I
froze.
was talking, earlier when she said thank you for sharing your story. And I thank you for coming and listening and sharing your information too, because at the St. Clair Holistic Health and Psychic Fair, when we had that talk, there were just so many interesting people, and people were coming to me with their experiences. And I love hearing experiences of other people. There are more people that have the ability to channel energy and to see and hear spirits than we realize, and people don't take themselves seriously as having abilities. But there are a lot of people that do, and just don't take them, or either don't see themselves worthy of the title of psychic, but even though they currently are, they actually are, or they don't realize that they can channel energy and be an energy worker, and they turn out to be able to learn how to do it, and do it for themselves and do it for other people. It's just amazing to see. It has a ripple effect. It has a ripple effect of positive energy, and then that's why I share my stories and things like that, and my experiences, basically. And I'm sharing my stories. I'm sharing these stories of my experiences, and that has a ripple effect. I know that when we share our experiences, I mean, it has a positive effect that just ripples out into the
Yes.
world.
Yes. Seashells. May I ask about my sister Venus? She doesn't
Sure.
seem like herself when she calls me. It's very random. It's not making a lot of sense. Now, I
Hmm.
don't know. Hopefully, I'm wrong, but it seems like she's going through, and Angela will take it from here.
Hmm. Because I don't have I think your instincts are good in picking up on something that isn't right. So let's see what the runes say about your sister's Venus seashell. So the first rune I got is Sowilo. Sowilo is usually success, but it's also epiphany, like insight. So you have this flash of insight that something's going on, and she's not quite bringing it up to you or sharing it with you. So your insight is good. It's confirmation that, yeah, you're right. You're onto something. The next rune I got, this is I was. So this is death, regeneration, communication. What I'm getting is more like she's going through her personal death and regeneration, meaning that something in her life is coming to an end, and she has to start anew. So she has to start anew. So she has to figure out where she's going to do with this, how she's going to react to this, because I feel like something really big has ended for her. It feels more relationship related, and she's just not laying on because she's trying to digest what's going on, trying to figure out, okay, how do I process this? How do I deal with this? How do I move on from this? I'm not quite sure, but I need time to figure this out. The next rune I got is Pertho. So Pertho is the rune of the future. It's also the like the unknown. It's like the equivalent of the Wheel of Fortune in the tarot. What I'm getting on this is that she feels like her future is now up in the air and nothing is certain for her because of this change. And because of that, and when nothing is certain, then you're kind of trying to get the long view to figure out, okay, what's my next step? Where do I go from here? Or what is my future now? That's what I'm getting. Again, this is something that she's going through, and she's feeling like it feels like she's trying to figure it out herself before she leans on somebody else.
Yeah, absolutely. That's exactly what I was going to say.
Mm-hmm.
And there may be, well, Joanne Stewart, I got you in line, dear. Seashells, seashells. Even though she's still wearing her wedding ring, doesn't mean that there's some issues that's going on behind the scene that
Mm.
she's embarrassed about. I'm not saying it is, but maybe a little bit of DV involved, if you know what that means. If you don't, Google police jargon and DV. So, no, you're right, the Daily Dose. You really don't know what people are going through. And that's why, our channel, the Bigfoot Outlaw, we go through source. Some people call it, the white light, the light, good. Some people call it God. It depends on where you stand and so forth. But you know, you really don't know somebody, and you don't know what they're going through because you know nobody knows saying you never walked a mile in somebody's shoes. It's right, you haven't. A lot of good people that are really going through problems in life. It's got a good poker face.
Mm-hmm.
Remember that. They hide it well. So until it gets to that breaking point. So just saying. Yeah. And when you do call her seashells, just say, you know what, what's going on with you, you know, and just break the ice. Tell her what's going on in your life and all that, and just slowly ease into, you know, so what's been going on with you? You know what, you've been awful quiet a little bit. Now, I know something's going on, so, you know, I'm your sister, so spill the beans. Come on, you got to tell me. And then if she plays a little hardball, all you got to say is like, dear, I already know. And if you really think something's going on, like what we talked about, she's going to say, how do you know? And it's going to say, because the signs show and tell me what you're going through. And that's how you break the ice. I'm just saying.
Mm-hmm.
So, source for all. Yes, absolutely. So, but no. Cindy, I got you on too, dear. All right, next up is Chris L. Chris L says, thanks for the live. I enjoy it. Are there any spirit animals around me at this time? Please and thank you. Now, I know what image I got. Let's see if Angela gets the same image.
Okay. Let's use the runes to find out. Let's see if there's a spirit animal minor Chris L. Got the rune Helgelas. Right, though. And for some reason, I just had a cat-like animal come up to my face. I'm actually seeing. I'm seeing you have a spirit guide. You have more than one spirit animal. The one that's coming up from me, though, I'm seeing something looks. I see a tiger. The one I'm picking up is a tiger. This spirit animal is telling me that this is your primary. This is like your power animal. Is this tiger, and I can see it's a Bengal tiger. And then Chris is talking without sound again, so I don't know what he's saying.
Yeah, so what I got earlier was I just thought it was probably me in my head just making stuff up. You know, I got Tony the Tiger.
Mm.
You know, Kellogg's, but I got it now. And Mary got it now too. So
Yeah,
that's why I
tiger.
was like, but that didn't make sense, Tony the Tiger. Then when you said Tiger, I told Mary, I said, well, no wonder I got Tony the Tiger. But it was just weird. I got Tony the Tiger, not an actual tiger.
Yeah, you got a Bengal tiger. The Bengal tiger is native to India, so you can actually look up
Oh,
on it and look up the more
well, that would make
specific.
sense. So okay, all right. That may I can swallow that then. Okay.
Yeah, the Bengal. So the Bengal tiger is native to India. It's more native to the hot humid climates. Very intelligent. Tigers do tend to be solitary. But they're very bright. They're very smart. They're incredibly intelligent. And you can also look up tigers. In Chinese astrology, tigers kind of share some characteristics of Gemini too, with the intelligence and the charm and things like that. And I remember in Chinese astrology, how the tiger got its stripes is that the tiger was told by the emperor to go and invite all these other animals to come to his banquet, but some of the animals resisted, and every time the tigers was successful in bringing another animal to the banquet, he got a stripe. So then the tiger got a stripes for all the animals he brought in were like victory stripes. So tigers, you definitely need to look that up as a spirit animal, because I see the tiger was right in my face, and usually tigers have a lot of resilience, a lot of stealth. They tend to be loners, but they like solitude. Um, they are very observant, and they're very quiet, and they do have a massive amounts of power that is exhibited in brief moments, and they don't waste energy. So be careful with your energy. Make sure you don't waste it, and make sure that you seize upon the opportunities that are in front of you. It's part of what Tiger teaches.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Awesome. Joanne Stewart wants to know, will my son-in-law find a job?
Okay. Son-in-law find a job. Okay, for Joanne Stewart, we'll ask the rooms. Okay. Rune's saying no.
Yeah, that's what Mary and I said. Right, as soon as I read the question, it was like, nope. And it's by choice, Joanne. I'm just letting you know. Look at Angela. Angela's never just said nope. I've never heard you say that before. She's like, Rune's like, nope.
He's gonna need a wake up call for motivation, right? He's gonna need a wake up call.
That's right. Yeah, you're spot on, 100%.
There was a German psychic. She had a TV show, and she was famous for saying, somebody would call in and say, is this relationship going to work and all of that? And she'll just say, "Nein, alles Gute," meaning no, all is well. That was it. This would be one instance where they say, "Nein, alles Gute,"
Right.
Nein, and I wish you well.
Yeah, like Lori says, if he doesn't want to get a job, he won't get one. Yeah, and when I clicked on that question, Joanne, it was like, wow. It was like, so.
Yeah, the runes indicate he needs it. I literally got the Sawilo, which is the lightning strike. So he needs,
right.
He needs some motivation,
Yeah,
right? Somebody needs to crack the whip on him.
And Cindy wants to know her spirit animal.
Oh, okay. Cindy Mitch. Okay. Your spirit animal came right up to me. You have a spider monkey for a spirit animal. And it's one of the spider monkeys that has a little tiny dark face. Spider monkeys, they're called that because they have really long limbs. And it gives them a spider-like appearance. Spider monkeys, they tend to be quite small, small in body, but they're very agile. They're very agile in the treetops. Usually, and the spider monkey is coming forward and saying to you that you do have agility, kind of behind the scenes. It's just like you do move and you do understand things, but you kind of do everything kind of behind the scenes and not in front of everybody. Sort of like how the spider monkey would go from tree to tree in the treetops in the canopy, in such a way that they're not exposed to predators. And of course, I got that the spider monkey is saying that you have a tendency to reach out a lot. Like you reach out. I feel like you reach out a lot. It's like you reach, yeah. It feels like you reach out. Okay, he's saying that you reach out for opportunities that are kind of a little bit beyond your grasp, and you just reach out as far as you can for them. So you do have a spider monkey. That's what I'm seeing. Yeah, spider monkey with a nice. It's a cute totem to have. So certainly you can look up spider monkeys, read about them, and you can definitely learn, because the spirit animals, the animals, they've been teaching us forever. Right? They always have something to teach us. And spirit animals, like an angel, but in an animal form, and then the animal behaviors and patterns and characteristics of that animal is what that animal is teaching us. You can apply that to your life. And a lot of times I find that the people that have certain spirit animals. Sometimes their personality it just jives right with the, just with the animal. For example, like tortoise. Some people are, well, basically they're very defensive, and they have to have a hard shell and keep their armor on all the day. And some
Right.
people, right, it just matches up with their personality. Or somebody like the driver I was talking to, he had the horses as a spirit animal, two spirit animals. The horses are synonymous with travel. And so, and he has to keep moving to keep his mind working.
And ladies and gentlemen, Michelle put a message out there. Her nephew is waiting to be admitted to the emergency room, and she's requesting we can pray and send prayers and thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, Michelle, prayers are going out to your nephew and your family. Hopefully everything works out, dear. So, but
And
yeah, fantastic. Yeah. So that's the first time I never messed with you. You notice that?
yeah, I see that Chris says, like that, the tiger you mentioned, could it be related to one of my past lives in India? I guess,
Oh,
whereas the
yeah.
Bengal is specific to India.
That's
So,
why.
yes,
Yeah.
that resounding yes. And I mean, this tiger is definitely attached to you in a very powerful way. It's a very powerful companion. And definitely ask your spirit animal to make itself known to you, to communicate to you in dreams. And of course, do your meditation. So you are in your meditation, you breathe and you're imagining you're meeting the tiger in its natural environment. And you can imagine that you are in India. You might even see some of the temples they have in India and look some of those up and incorporate the imagery of those temples into your meditation. And in
Bose
India,
from LinkedIn. Hello. Welcome from LinkedIn there, Bose. Yeah, Angela will do a reading for you, hon. Nice to see
okay,
you. Welcome, everybody. It's watching for Blinken.
okay. Okay, for the first reading I got is this is the rune Burkana. So this is the rune of protection, prosperity. It's very feminine. It's of the female protector. Um, I do have that you have a very feminine quality to you. It's just like you are the protector. And many times it's like you're that comforter that's there. And next rune I got for you. This is Ansus. So Ansus is speaking wisdom. Okay. I do feel like that you're like a guide for someone else, that you often give advice, right? You speak wisdom. It's just one of the gifts that you've been given. You feel it just feels amazing to be, your energy feels amazing. Next rune I got is Rytho. So Rytho is the path of honor. It's also the path of the light. This rune is telling me that you are actually a light worker, that you do work with energy, that you actually are dialed into source.
That's pretty awesome. It really is. Yeah, some people have two or three spirit animals. Some have more than that.
Yeah, in
It
fact,
really is. So.
I did a talk about spirit animals in my last 3 videos. I usually Sunday I post something about spiritual and supernatural, and I have had a spirit animal coming for me for several nights. That is a bobcat lynx mix together, and sometimes when they appear to you in a dream, sometimes your spirit animal may have a mix of multiple different animals. No, lynx and bobcats have similar look and appearance. And one has a little longer tail, one's a little smaller, one has a little denser fur, one's north, one's south. There are only slight differences between them. And I talked about how in my spirit animal experience, sometimes that spirit animal will appear and it will follow by the appearance of the actual animal. Lo and behold, like 3 or 4 nights ago, there was a bobcat in our yard. And we got a good photo of this bobcat. And we
Wow.
haven't seen the bobcat here in probably 5 or 6 years, and finally got a bobcat. And the bobcat has an amazing positive energy. And I know when I see Bobcat, I knew something incredibly positive is going to happen. And I've seen lynx before, usually a female lynx spirit animal with these beautiful glowing green eyes, and had to do with the psychic gifts. That's why she always had these beautiful green eyes. But this one is a male, and he is hanging around me, very friendly, and wonderful have spirit animals, because I mean they draw your attention to things that you're not aware of, for sure.
Wow. Down. Do you have any general messages for me, Angela? Please and thank you, ma'am.
All right, now. Let's see what the runes have to say. Okay, so the first rune I got, this is Dagos. This is the rune of enlightenment. So I'm actually seeing your third eye, and like I actually see light in there. I feel like you're being called to that, to open the third eye, and to channel that light. And the next rune I got is Thorasos. So Thorasos is the rune of caution with sharp things, but also boundaries. And I actually feel like you should be. It feels like you're stepping back, stepping back. It's like you're making your boundaries further out and more solid, and just stepping back and focusing on you. It feels like you're withdrawing a little bit, but it feels necessary. The runes are acknowledging that you need those boundaries, and that you need more comfortable boundaries for yourself. The next rune, this is Feyu. So Feyu is money, it's wealth, it's prosperity. I'm getting the impression off this rune is that, yes, that it's been a struggle. I actually feel like more struggle on the side of financially. There's been some financial struggle, but this rune is telling me this is going to end. This financial struggle is going to be brief. It's going to be ending before the end of this year. So you're not going to be so worried about money or have that struggle anymore. So towards the end of this year, that's going to end.
Wow. All right, Lori Gibbs. Just where it's at with experiences. I dream all the time. Should I go back to the haunted home where I lived growing up and face the thing?
This
Or the spirit that was bothering me, or should I just leave it alone?
this is the thing with, because I grew up in a haunted house, and those spirits will still connect to you wherever you are. So you don't even have to physically go back to the house. For me, I did it. I went back to the house just to put everything in perspective, because when you're a little kid, everything seems so much bigger. And then when you're an adult, going back and go, this is actually a little house I lived in. And it doesn't feel as bad. Um, but that's completely up to you. And it could be that that spirit that was at that place is still making that connection. So you do have a couple of options there. You can face that spirit in the dream, right? In the dreams that you're having, you can certainly, what I do when I'm confronting a spirit, if they refuse to back down, I just bring up love, and I imagine the most credible person I love, or imagine God who I love, and take that energy of love and turning it into a pink laser and throwing it at the spirit. And because you're throwing love at it, it has to back off. And you can assert yourself that way. I've confronted spirits who not back down in dreams, and they've had to back away. The other thing you could do, you can actually do something called cord cutting. So if that spirit is still having connection and you still feel pulled to the house and you're still dreaming about the house, you could actually cut the cord that it has connected to you. And you can simply imagine, or you can use an actual crystal called selenite, which is just a very cheap quartz crystal. And you can imagine it cutting that cord, and just imagine slicing that cord, cutting that way, and say, I renounce all connections. I renounce all permission that you have access to me. I renounce that permission. You no longer have a permission to reach out to me or communicate with me at all. I am cutting you off. You could do it that way. You can
And you can
go to
also
the,
use. Oh, I'm sorry, you lagged again. I apologize, Andrew. Go
it's
ahead.
all right. You can, if you're going to go to the location, of course, just take a deep breath before you walk in, and you feel that presence there, and you can, you can confront that spirit, or you can just simply tell the spirit in a non-confrontational way, I need you to leave me alone. I didn't like what you did to me. I didn't like the feelings that you imposed or the effects that you have on it, but you are no longer have any connection with me. You're out of my life. Don't mess with me. If you cross over, fine. I'll say a prayer for you and we can cross you over. If you don't want to cross over and you want to be here and be miserable, that's up to you. But leave me alone. Say
And if you don't, oh, I'm
yeah.
sorry.
And I can, and if you want, you can reach out to me or any of the, or even Grizzly here. And if you need help with crossing that spirit over, we can, I can connect remotely as well and help cross spirits over. And I don't charge anything for that. But certainly, and you could talk to Chris too, and he might be able to pick up on things on that spirit in that location as well.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. You can do all that, absolutely. Anybody have any more questions or anything? And it's like generational curses.
Mm-hmm.
Mary and I talk about it. It's real. People don't believe
Yeah,
it.
it is real. And some people just bankrupt their family blessings too, and it has the same effect as a generational curse, right? So people will
Yeah,
use up their blessings or abuse their blessings, and then there's nothing left for the generation to inherit, right? And then you have to be the person that makes up for it, and you have to, connect with source and follow God's plan and rebuild those generational blessings that were not left to you.
right.
Yes, and there's also entities that will attach and pass down to family, and there's also spirit guides and protectors that pass down generationally as well, that are protectors, that are attached to our families by our bloodline.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because a lot of people don't understand it or believe it, and like Mary and I talk about it, and they try to explain it to people. Especially people that think they always got that black cloud hanging over their head, right?
Right.
Cindy says, once the spirits are crossed, can they still visit people
Oh
they wanted to
yes,
be visited?
absolutely, absolutely visit, and I think it's a benefit, is I've had spirits hesitate of crossing over because they don't want to leave their loved one and they don't want to lose their connection, like a mother with a granddaughter or whatever. They want to be connected to family. Like, that's fine, but you'd be so much more helpful to your family member if you crossed over, because once you crossed over, you're in the light, you get enlightened, you bring that love energy, you get healed, you have a better perspective that you can come back with. And so they cross over, and when they come back, then they can actually help you out a little bit more and be there for you even better than if they just stayed with you. So it's better for them to cross over and to visit rather than just hanging around you.
Yeah, absolutely. Really is.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what another fantastic show, Angela. Awesome.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Awesome. So what's coming up this week and weekend? Anything special for you?
Well, I don't think coming up until the end of March, on March 29th, I will be at the Anchorage Mansion in Marietta, Ohio, doing spirit portraits and readings, and that usually starts at noon. And then you have to sign up ahead of time and pay ahead at hiddenmarietta.com. And the Anchorage Mansion is beautiful. It's in a restoration progress, and they just restored the grand staircase. And this is a villa. It's a beautiful building, and the spirits there are friendly, and it is paranormally active. I would love to see you there. They have ghost tours, and it's very close to West Virginia. If you want to get a piece of history too, you can go to Blennerhassett Island, where the first plot of treason was documented to overthrow the government was on Blennerhassett Island. And they moved houses there, and people do see spirits there as well as shadow people there. And there's ghost hunts on there on that island. There's you can have an overnight stay. And Hidden Marietta arranges for that. They handle the Anchorage Mansion, also the Blennerhassett Island tours as well, if you wanted to stay overnight. But wonderful. It's a wonderful experience. So please come to the Anchorage Mansion in Marietta, Ohio, a beautiful grand old mansion, and I'd love to see you there and read for you in person. And I'm sure you enjoy the building. It's beautiful. It's unbelievable.
Yes, absolutely. Well, thanks everybody for tuning in. And like I always say, from our family to yours, and from coast to coast around the world. Godspeed, everybody, and good night.
Good night.